Boom shakalaka churra!
Welcome back to the Millennial Classics, y'all, where we talk about the best and most memorable movies, music, and culture-changing events from our generation. Mumbury, how you doing today?
Doing good.
So today's a special day. Before we even get going, before I get into the podcast, I just want to thank everybody watching, and you specifically, Mumbury. We have hit 1,000 subscribers. This is a big deal. This is a good day for us. This is a good day. So we are recording this on August 24th. So I know this is not going to be out for a very long time, but just letting everybody know who is watching, who has subscribed, who has joined us on this journey. Shit has been really fun, and I feel like things are getting going. So just be on the lookout for the future classics. We did drop that for our 1,000 subscriber little celebration milestone. But with that being said, Mumbury, what movie are we doing today? And tell the folks at home, why is it a millennial classic?
This is a library DVD classic. All right. This is a movie where it's like everyone in the family is asking what movie should we watch. And it's got to be PG, but it's got to be PG-13. It's got to have the adults, little kids, got to have stars so the grandma recognizes who that guy is. It's Ocean's 11.
Why is it a millennial classic, Mumbury? Talk to me.
This movie is a vibe movie. You can kind of enter at any point in time. Honestly, the reason why this movie is so good, and I wrote this down first thing, it nails the two best parts of a heist movie that everybody loves. It has a great get the gang together scene, and it has a great heist scene. It does. It's like, that's half the movie right there.
So
and it does it so well.
It does it so well. And in celebrating this movie's getting the gang together, we have a featured guest on this podcast. If you are not watching it, we have Niall from the Man Cave Movie Night podcast, correct?
That's right.
Exactly.
I'm stoked to be here.
Well, thank you so much for coming. Before we even get to what you remember about Ocean's 11, tell the folks just who are you and what is the Man Cave Movie Night podcast?
Okay, so Man Cave Movie Night is a podcast that two friends of mine and I do, Lucas Koford and Jared Cooksey and I. We're friends from high school. We all ended up in different places, but thanks to Zoom, we could get together and talk about movies. And honestly, where I'm living now in northern Utah, I don't have a whole lot of friends who are as into movies as I was. So we started the podcast basically to have a reason to talk really in depth about movies. And then we've kept going. So we've been doing it for almost 3 years now, actually.
There you go.
And we've got over 100 episodes. Some of them have themes. Some of them are just kind of random. But yeah, it's basically an excuse to talk about movies with my friends.
I love that.
And let me just put you on the spot real quick. Can you give me a quintessential Man Cave Movie Night movie? Like something y'all are just like, all of you guys, unanimous Hall of Fame, you put it up.
Whiplash from 2014.
Okay.
That is a movie that I think all three of us will very, very quickly tell you is in our top three.
There's very few people that could do it like J.K. Simmons. That dude is an actor like no other. Niall, talk to me about Ocean's 11. Would you consider this a Man Cave movie? Is this worthy of the name?
Absolutely. This is a movie that I know that we would love to talk about in fact, I want to do a heists episode on our podcast. And I know that if we do, this is the heist that we would be comparing other movies to.
Amen to that. Yep.
For our generation, at least, this is like the quintessential heist movie. Maybe this and the more recent Italian Job. Now, anytime I see a heist movie, my point of comparison is it was better or worse than Ocean's 11. You know what I mean?
Exactamundo.
So this would be one that we would love to talk about on the podcast. And honestly, we haven't yet. And so I'm really happy that I get to talk about it with you guys now.
Ladies and gentlemen, this movie dropped December 7th, 2001. And prior to us getting into the meats, into the goodies of this movie, come with me into the millennial time machine so I can tell you what was going on at the time. So in the music industry, if you were live, if you were jamming in December of 2001, Usher has been a menace for 2 decades at this point.
Yo, cheating and diving and singing and doing too much. He's been doing too much. But he was number 2 on the Billboard's Hot 100 with You Got It Bad. Number 1 was Family Affair by Mary J. Blige. Enrique Iglesias, Hero, that shit was a banger. I hate to bring his name up.
Look at this drive.
Nickelback was also on the list, the top 5 of the Billboard's 100 in 2001. Apple's iPod was released October of 2001. The highest paid celebrities. This is who the world was talking about in 2001. And I love seeing this list because it's like, holy shit, some of these people are just not the same anymore. So the man, the myth, the legend, our number one pick for the 2022 movie, Tom Cruise was the number one paid celebrity of 2001. Tiger Woods was number 2. The Beatles were number 3. For movie history, A Beautiful Mind won the Academy Awards for Best Picture in 2001. Mumbury, do you want to try to go down this list?
A Beautiful Mind, that was 2 in a row for him too, right?
Oh,
Russell
yeah,
Crowe.
Russell
He won
Crowe.
2 in a row, I think. And I think he's the only one to win 2 in a row. But
that's amazing if he did. Tell me your top domestic box office for 2001.
Well, because we've already done Rush Hour.
Yes, exactly.
And we've done Mummy.
We have done Mummy, but this is the year where Mummy Returns came out, and it was number 6 that year.
Okay, then there's a Lord of the Rings at this point.
Lord of the Rings was this year. Yep, exactly. Very good.
And
came out like a week or 2 after.
Ocean's 11's on that list.
Ocean's 11, sadly, is like number 10 or 11 on that list.
Wow.
So let me tell you, because this is a big year, a huge year for movies. Harry Potter, Sorcerer's Stone. So the start of like the franchise for like teens, etc. Of that generation, our generation. Shrek came out that year. Monsters, Inc. came out that year. Rush Hour 2. Don't stop till you get enough. And then The Lord of the Rings. So competing with all of that, I understand that Ocean's 11 is a star-studded, like, epic heist movie, but those are like franchise building, starting movies and sequels. So
it's really franchise heavy for the early
exactly.
2000s,
And there's even Jurassic Park 3 came out that year. It was 8.
Wow. I think there's a black girl that does a gymnastics like routine to kick a velociraptor in that movie.
That's
and
amazing.
Vince Vaughn's in it.
Oh my God, Vince Vaughn.
Well, Vince Vaughn has famously never been in a bad movie, so I don't know what you're talking about.
That's fantastic. Well, Barry, the makings and ratings, take it away. What was going on when this movie was getting created?
This movie, box office hit, critically acclaimed. It's not like top tier critically acclaimed, but most critics loved it. 83% Rotten Tomatoes. Fans love it. Critics love it. Directed by Steven Soderbergh. I don't know who to compare him with. It's like, Kobe?
Yeah.
Kobe just did like 20 years in the league and just never stopped, even when he was like bad towards the end and he was still chucking. That's Soderbergh, because Soderbergh he cashes out movies. Some guys like James Cameron will do a movie every 5 years and it'll be good. But Soderbergh will do, like, if you look at his IMDb, it's literally like every year.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit. He will come out with the movie.
Is that what you wanted your director? Not giving
No,
a
but
shit?
it's honestly, being that prolific is hard. It's a skill unto itself, because I mean, he has movies. Have you heard of Kimmy?
I have not.
Catwoman's in it, dropped last year on HBO Max. Like, that's what this dude's on. But he has a ton of great movies.
Yeah.
Like, even back when this all started with Oceans, he has the Ocean series. He has Magic Mike. Aaron Brockovich is pretty good. Traffic is an all-timer with Benicio. Logan Lucky, which is a great heist movie.
I didn't realize that was Soderbergh. That's interesting.
Yeah. Contagion. He's prolific. A lot of people say that counts against directors, but I think it's really tough to shoot all those volume shooters and still have some hits. So
makes sense.
That was it.
I can't disagree. And Ocean's 11 is a fucking masterpiece. So kudos is credit where credit is due.
He's known for like shooting quick, editing quick. There were jokes about like how like they would be out for dinner and they'd have like a cut of it showing to the actors like that night. It's like him and Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood's known for like one take Clint. He's known for like getting through movies quick. 450 million box office. So honestly, for this type of movie, pretty good. As like heist movies go, non-franchise, this is the first one. This movie is pure star power. Which doesn't really get done these days, because if you saw this many stars in the movie now, it'd be like a superhero movie. It'd be Avengers.
Have you seen Oppenheimer? Have you been living under a rock?
Yeah, but Oppenheimer, it's like, oh shit, this Casey Affleck, but he's playing like a mailman for 3 scenes in the background. Like, it's like this movie, it's like these guys are all hanging out together. 10 stars. Oppenheimer's like the most famous dude is a guy who's fifth billed in Inception. Right, and there's on a BBC show playing a gangster. That's the main star. Everyone else is literally just in and out of the movie. It works, but I'm just saying this type of star-studded cast that interact with each other full time, it's rare.
At the time, what did people rate this movie?
83% Rotten Tomatoes.
Fantastic. I agree and I concur. Before we get into the scenes, Mumbury, let's get Niall in here. So before you did the rewatch for the podcast, what did you remember about the movie before you turned it on?
That's a great question. I think the thing that I always remember are just how much I love all of the performances.
Second task, power. On the night of the fight, we're going to throw the switch on Sin City. Basher, it's your show.
You want broke, blind, or bedlam?
How about all three?
That it's funny. Something I always forget is how funny it is
Yes,
until I rewatch it. There were multiple scenes where I was sitting alone in my room at 10 a.m. laughing out loud.
What the fuck you bet?
I think another thing that I always remember, I'm very music oriented with movies. So I always remember the soundtrack, the little less conversation, a little more action with the Junkie XL remix is just unbelievable. It's so good. And then
this was Junkie XL?
Yeah, Junkie XL, dude.
Oh shit. All right.
Unbelievable. Mad Max and Ocean's 11.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy work.
Yes.
But yeah, so I love that. I love the Claire de Lune finale. It's a beautiful moment.
Yes,
so
it is.
the movie is perfectly soundtracked, perfectly scored. Honestly, you couldn't cast a movie better than this. You can cast a movie as well as this, but probably not any better. It's one of those movies that I would throw on if my friends were over.
Oh, 100%.
You know? It's just like, oh yeah, we can watch Ocean's 11 because who doesn't like it? That's what I remember about it. It's just the feeling of unity that it gives you. Like I can bring up Ocean's 11 with anyone and they'll be like, yeah, let's talk about Ocean's 11.
I completely forgot how funny it was. But when you just see Bernie Mac in any cast, you're like, I know this is going to be a good time.
Just won't let me deal the cards. You might as well call it White Jack.
Bernie Mac is my guy. R.I.P. Bernie Mac is my guy. Mumbury, before the rewatch, what did you remember?
Honestly, this was a DVD movie for me. This was a complete DVD movie. This had the DVD where you have to like unclasp.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then get the disc out. Yeah. That's what I remember about this movie. Great DVD movie. This is one of those movies where I actually watched the special features, which is rare. I should remember there was like a special feature. At this point, Clooney wasn't the most famous person on the cast, which is weird because
Brad Pitt, right?
Right, Brad Pitt was.
Yes.
And even Matt Damon had a lot of juice at this point because he'd already been in Good Will Hunting. He was on his way up. But it was cool. It was weird kind of hearing that because Clooney's like, he's Danny Ocean. So maybe it's an Oppenheimer, same thing going on. I have a question for Niall.
But the thing is, before you ask this question, the thing is, it's not that much of a difference. Like George Clooney at the time and Brad Pitt at the time, where is it like difference in fame? Was it that much of a
huge?
Like Brad for Pitt real?
Like, Brad Pitt at that point, he had done Fight Club.
Oh, I see.
He had done Dumb and Louise.
That'll do it.
But I just have to say, like the casting is perfect because George Clooney is like. It's hard to like hindsight is 2020, obviously, but I'm just saying, looking at it right now, the casting is goddamn perfect.
George Clooney was like the worst Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Like he had like bummed off Batman. Like he was like limping along, which is.
But it's weird to look back and think about this movie. He wasn't the most famous person in this movie when it came out. That's unbelievable to think about to me.
Yeah. So I got a question for you because you mentioned this earlier.
Yeah.
You said, I think I know what your answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask it anyway because you said you like this movie and Italian Job. I was gonna ask if you like what I call like white collar heist movies versus blue collar heist movies. This movie is a classic white collar heist movie where there's not a lot of blood. Maybe there's some punching.
Right.
No one's getting gunned down in the streets. Like it's like smart, sophisticated. They're gonna get away with it. No one's gonna get hurt. Like that kind of deal. Italian Job, like they might betray someone at the end, but the camera's gonna cut away. Whereas you look at like Heat, Den of Thieves, The Town.
Right. The Town.
Those movies are getting gunned down in the streets. Guys are running through with bags of money and AKs. So like the Heat is my favorite heist movie. But I just wanted to know, like, for you, where do you land on that balance of white collar, blue collar heist?
That's a good question. I honestly I think that would probably be the last thing that I consider over everything. What I like in a heist movie, and I think why I like Italian Job and Ocean's 11 so much, is the heist mixed with the twist. Having a heist that you understand it as one thing, but at a certain point there's a reveal that's, oh, this is how it actually was done. I get a real rush from that kind of thing. And so if it gets violent and goes crazy like Heat or The Town, or if it, has those soft pans away, as long as the heist itself is really exciting for me. In fact, my favorite heist movie, this is going to make me sound like such a prestigious movie, like film bro douchebag thing, but my favorite heist movie is a black and white French film called Rafifi.
I've seen it.
Have you seen Rafifi?
Yeah.
Okay,
I feel so bad at the end.
Yeah, no, that movie wrecks you a little bit, but the heist itself, they're stealing from this place that has a sound triggered alarm. And so the whole setup for the heist is them just practicing not making any sound. And this is a movie from, I think, the 40s or something like that. I can't remember the exact year. When the heist is actually going, it is dead silent. And anytime somebody steps on a floorboard and there's a little creak, everybody stops and looks around, and you're just like, white knuckled, can't wait to see what happens next. And that movie's not violent at all because it's a 40s movie. Like you weren't allowed to be violent back then. So for me, as long as they achieve a certain amount of tension, that's what I'm going for out of my heists.
Did you like Inside Man?
Inside Man, I haven't seen Inside Man.
Okay, that's right up your alley then.
Yeah,
that's an episode for you then.
All right, going on the top of the list.
I'm so proud of you. You saw Rafifi.
Yo, I saw Rafifi. Honestly, dope movie. Swear you would like it.
Okay.
It is inventive and it does that thing. He kind of does it too, where the heist ends and you're just looking at your clock and you're like, it's too early.
Yeah,
I want to see
agree
some
with
bad
that.
news coming. Like, these guys are not that smart, and I can see where this is going. But yeah, Rafifi's dope. You'd like it. You'd like it a lot.
Wonderful. Boys, let's get into this movie. Mulberry, take us away for your favorite scenes throughout this movie.
I starred in big letters, getting the crew together, and then starred in big letters, heist. So those are the two pillars for which I will build this segment on. And we could just start with getting the crew together because it's like 10 scenes. So I kind of just split it that way. But essentially, from when he gets out of jail, it's a one-way track to introducing every character.
Exactly.
And some characters have sicker introductions, but it's just really well made.
Let's do it this way. Which one of the intros to the characters, to the squad, was your favorite, and which one did you like the least?
I like the reverse Danny Ocean intro, where
what do you mean?
It's from Rusty's perspective. He comes back in the room, and Danny's now there, and then you get to see kind of like, all right, this dude's kind of a big dog in action. You kind of get to see him and Rusty play off each other and win some money off those rich guys. Out of the rest of them, obviously Basher.
Oh, leave it out. You tossers. You had one job to do.
We'll talk about his accent. Actually, we might as well talk about that accent.
Yeah.
Let's please. Can we talk about the accent?
Yeah.
Don Gino, what are we doing?
It's rough.
It will be great working with proper villains again. I was like, yo.
Homie, what are you saying right now?
Oh, it's terrific. It'll be nice working with proper villains again.
Yeah, so I think that would be my favorite one. Everyone else, a lot of it is just like from afar. They're maybe watching. The Yang one is just like them talking.
Literally just watching him.
Sure.
But does he speak English? Like in real life?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
In real life, the actor, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, I think, but in the movies, he never speaks. Like, he speaks a little bit towards an Ocean's 13, but...
What the fuck you been?
Fun fact, real quick, in that scene where they're spying him out for the first time, it's playing a version of Caravan, the finale song in Whiplash. So that's a little fun thing. I was watching this and I noticed that. I was like, is this Caravan?
Oh, wow.
And I looked it up, and it's like a Chinese instrument version of Caravan
Oh,
for
shit.
some reason. Who's to say why? But it was interesting. So little tie-in with my Whiplash answer from earlier.
I
And
really
that-
like the
yeah.
fact you got the ear on the music throughout the movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
that is something you need to be paying attention to even
Yeah.
notice
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I know. I pick up on the music too much sometimes. I miss out on the actual movie a bit.
So, do you have a favorite intro to the cast?
Absolutely. Yeah, the Mormon twins, Casey Affleck and the other guy. I can't remember the actor's name.
Scott
But-
Conn? He's James
Yeah, there
Caan's
you
son.
go. Really? I had no
Yeah.
idea. That scene, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a nostalgia attachment, but just them racing the trucks and him swerving and busting the remote control truck and then just laughing.
Cackling.
There's something about it. It's such a good introduction to let you know exactly who these characters are and how they're going to interact with each other. Every time I see it, it just fills me with childlike wonder again.
For me, it's a close tie because I love Saul in this movie. Just like his demeanor to the whole thing. When Brad Pitt walked up to him and he was like, "I saw you before you woke up this morning." Just like he knows what's going on before everything happens. He's just so chill. I really enjoy that, but I can't love more than anything else, the depravity of Ruben Tiskoff, Elliot Gould. When I don't even know if
Yeah,
that
that's
counts.
the the best one.
He torpedoed my casino. Now he's gonna blow it up next month to make way for some gaudy monstrosity.
So funny.
It's so funny, right? It's so funny. He's like, "You guys are crazy. Get out of here. What do you guys even want? You guys are stupid. No one." And he goes down the list of all the attempts of robbing a casino in Vegas in the past. But while they're walking away, they're like, "Just tell me what's going on." That's probably my favorite. That's
Yeah.
probably
the montage of failures to the
Yep.
music. Some of the needle drops during the montage are great. Some of those you're just like, "Who? These guys must be coked out of their mind trying to steal, trying to steal from a Vegas casino with a snatch and grab." I mean,
Yeah. That
but,
also, that scene comes with my favorite line from the movie. "I still owe you for that thing with the guy at the place." To which Brad Pitt responds, "I've never been to Belize." There's
Amazing.
something about that is so funny to me.
yeah.
It just has me rolling every time.
And then you can tell it's so crazy how well they know everyone. At least
Yes.
they know Saul
Yeah.
and Ruben. Like you can tell, just that's why these intros are so good. Because the ones that are impersonal, like they just shoot it from afar, so you don't really
Yeah.
know them. But the ones that they have personal connections with, you get to see that. And Saul's, he just kind of leaves that little nugget with them and walks away, and then you know Saul's hooked. And then
Yep.
for this one, they walk away. They do that thing where they're playing off each other, and they're like the Bellagio, the MGM Grand, the Mirage, and then he's like, "Wait, those are Terry Benedict's casinos." And then right there, you know, he's got it.
Yeah. He's like, "What are y'all trying to do?"
Even Basher, it's like as soon as Brad Pitt's there, he's like, "Oh, there we
Yeah.
go, gangster."
Yeah.
So those it's just the way they just do the different intros.
When they meet Ruben, I want you guys to try to remember his outfit, right? He's got the craziest sunglasses on, the 4 different shades in his backyard pool with his,
Yeah.
with his, it's not the nightgown. What is it called? Whatever he
The
has.
robe.
It's like a
robe.
silk
The
robe.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, who is this guy? Of course he owned a casino that was bought out.
So you guys can add whatever because I only have 2 scenes. Honestly, the middle's a bit of a lull, and this will contribute to the LVP of the movie for me. The gang actually getting together, and Danny describes the heist in the house by the pool, which is a great scene with Matt Damon, Ellie Gould, where he's like, "All right, man, get the fuck in there." Or you think it's a heart to heart, but yeah, I mean, everyone loves explaining the heist. Movies kind of do these different ways. In Inside Man, you don't know how the heist is going, but then they kind of describe how the police break-in scene's gonna go, and then you actually see that, and then it doesn't go that way. This movie is the exact opposite. You kind of know and are explained how everything is gonna go, and then they pull the rug from under you.
Exactly.
Which is great. And then that line. Nevada Gaming Commission mandates that casinos have to have enough cash to have everyone at the building. And then it's like, and on fight night, and then you're you're hanging on everywhere. It's like $162 million. $162 million is an insane amount of money. So yeah, that's like for the setup. That's all I had. If you guys want to add any more to the beginning.
I don't think that there were many scenes from the beginning because you're right. It's all just the heist together. I just wanted to mentioned, like you could see Jason Bourne in Matt Damon's character throughout this movie. We talked about this, Maburi, how Matt Damon is always willing to be a character in the movie who doesn't have that many lines, who is just there because he respects the director or respects the actual script. But I love how he is in a movie. He's a great actor. Every scene that he's a part of, you are paying attention. You are noticing. You are with him. He's not trying to steal the movie. He's not trying to be a little extra. Are you including them going to steal the what's it called? The clicker?
No, so I have that later. I have
okay. Go ahead.
The Terry Benedict walkthrough, which is kind of like the villain intro. We get to see who they're up against. This is the opposition. And this is the part I have a problem with the movie. And we'll talk about that with the LVP. And then, of course, the Julia Roberts intro, too. And then you get to introduce that character. And that's when.
Before you go on, I have to say something about this movie. And this is the one thing that I was really frustrated about. Not frustrated, but Terry Benedict is really good at his job. The only crime he committed in this entire movie was dating George Clooney's ex-wife.
I know.
He literally hasn't done anything wrong. In a lot of these heist movies, it's like we're stealing from a bad person. Sure, he owns casinos. Everything he's doing is legal, number one. Number two, he's very good at his job.
Well,
right?
apparently he has a lot of enemies.
Of course, he has a lot of enemies.
Yeah.
He's in Vegas, right? But it doesn't matter. Like, my whole thing was, it's like, sometimes I want to be happy about them getting money stolen. The only assurance that I felt about them stealing from him was that when Julia Roberts said, these people have insurance, they get their money back. That was, I was like, all right, then you guys could go ahead and steal it. But that, I was
you're Team Benedict out of this movie. You're coming out Team Benedict.
I'm not Team Benedict. I'm just not anti-Benedict.
Yeah.
He's a good boss.
Well,
he
that's
knows
the
the
thing.
name of every valet that works for him.
I was thinking that same thing in that scene. I was like, that's pretty cool. Like,
yeah.
But the thing I will say is that's like a quick and easy fix of just have one scene, because there was a lot of tell with Benedict of saying, oh, he's a bad guy. People referencing he's a bad guy, but then they don't ever really show it.
Exactly.
If they just have one scene showing him just being a total dirtbag to somebody or doing something illegal or something like that.
And they do that. They set that up in Ocean's 13.
Yeah.
Where the casino owner is actually a scumbag and you get to see part of that. They should have done that in this one too. I agree.
Yeah. It could be 15 seconds of something. Just show him doing something shady and then you're good to go. But I actually really agree with that point.
And I never know I was shaking my finger too before when you were saying Matt Damon has got a bit of Bourne in him. And I like that comparison because honestly, Matt Damon in this and Bourne, especially younger, there's a bit of like a spaciness about him.
Totally.
Yes.
That's not there later on, like when he's the Martian, he's a genius or whatever. And even earlier in Talented Mr. Ripley or Good Will Hunting, those are two very different characters. Where this one and Bourne, there's a bit of like a spaciness, focus, and then spacey, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I like that a lot.
Facial recognition got a hit. Jesus Christ, that's Jason Bourne.
After that, I got the pinch heist. Basher was flummoxed. They fixed what they were gonna do. So now they got to steal a pinch. Matt Damon's antsy. He goes in. This scene reminds me a lot of like the type of comedy you would see in like a black and white movie. Where it's like you're looking at reactions and they're looking up at the thing and then you can see through a silhouette of some guy running through and then you're it's like classic silent movie hijinks.
Those two brothers that had Matt Damon leave the car, right?
Scott
to go
Conn
into Scott Conn,
Casey Affleck.
And Casey Affleck.
Academy Award winner Casey Affleck.
Yeah. There you go.
Excuse me.
Lest we forget.
That was one of the dumbest decisions in the movie. Him deciding to go in. Like there was no reason for it. Just step outside and go stand outside the van. If worst case scenario, I thought that scene was decent. I did like prior to that scene when Buster was watching the TV and the actual building was getting blown up in the mirror right behind him.
Yeah.
I just love that. I just love that because I feel like that's so 2023. But I thought the scene was decent. Yeah.
Yeah, and then from there I have the actual heist, and the heist is obviously like 12 scenes.
Yes.
From Saul showing up, the pinch being moved into place, a lot of cutting, Linus versus Frank, that scene, and then he drops the colored, and honestly, Bernie Mac is just immaculate in that scene. When they go on
Immaculate.
toe to toe.
Amazing.
Want me to get on the table and dance? Like me to shine your shoes? Want me to smile at you? But you definitely won't let me deal the cards. You might as well call it White Jack.
The boxing match.
Yeah.
Right, what do you
I was gonna say, like, I'm trying to decide, like, with all these heist movies and these spy movies, I try to figure out who actually has the hardest job. And like right off the bat, it usually goes to the tech guy. But the tech guy, this is what he does, so it shouldn't be that hard, right? Just blow the pincer, the pincher, or the clicker, whatever you call it. Make it happen, and then we're good. That's number one. Then I always think about the person that has to do the sneaking. So like the that had to do the backflip, but also he works in Cirque du Soleil, so this is what he does, right? So I don't know who would have the toughest job, but I do know that Rusty Ryan, that Brad Pitt, he had the easiest fucking job. He's like, the only thing he does is to pretend to be a doctor and comes in. I feel like the two brothers,
and he has to go toe to toe with Terry on the phone.
That's true.
Like,
he does the unravel on the phone, but that's a phone call, you know?
I mean, but you know, half of us would be like,
yeah, that's true. Well, I think Saul probably has the hardest role just because he has to be up and personal with Benedict throughout 90% of the heist, you know, and then have a heart attack, you know.
Yeah, and you know, Benedict can sniff out rich people. Like he has to be an amazing Simon Zerka. And then, like Benedict, you're right, because Benedict must have a nose for fakes.
I was literally about to say that. Now, thank you for saying it, because that's what I was getting to. Because Saul definitely has the hardest job, and not only is it the hardest job of the heist, he has to build that rapport to get to the heist, right? Like that. He is the quintessential piece in this entire thing, right?
I'm the captain now.
The thing that I like about Benedict, again, he has this silence that he keeps with everyone he communicates with to just wait. He just sits in it. I love how he just sits in it. He asks a question, you hear the answer, especially when he is talking to Matt Damon, and he just allows Matt Damon to freak out. But that conversation that Matt Damon and Brad Pitt have about what he's supposed to do, don't ever look down, don't ever look up, because
don't look down, don't look up. Yeah,
that's just
so
amazing.
And then if you don't remember anything else, this is the most important thing. And then he gets called away and he doesn't get to say what it is.
It's great.
So funny.
So the entire heist, when the entire heist is happening, it is very disjointed. Not disjointed, but you're going from scene to scene, from person to person, right? So it's hard to see how everything is playing out like all at once. But I don't know how realistic it would be to actually cut off the phone calls and get, like, if they're dialing 911, can you actually be the person to answer the phone? That's the one thing about the heist I did not believe. But everything
if they're in the system, I'm guessing they're tapped into the phones too. If they're tapped into the internet and they're tapped into the video,
so they would just pick it up right away.
Yeah, I'm guessing it goes through them and then it goes out.
That was literally my biggest question mark. But outside of that, I think it was a perfect heist. I absolutely loved it. I don't know why they had to just like pretend that George Clooney and Brad Pitt were fighting just to make Matt Damon nervous or whatever. I don't know if the rest of the crew was aware and it was just Matt Damon that was confused. But whatever that situation was a little off, and I didn't think it was necessary. But perfect implementation of the entire situation. When they do get the SWAT team situation and you figure out the twist, and they all take their money away. One thing I really respect about these kinds of movies, and like Fast Five, when they do the robbery and there's that Danza Kuduro music at the end and you see people splurging money, right? I really respect this Ocean's 11 crew. They just take everything in stride. Their celebration is just the boys, right? Let's go to watch the fucking waterfall and just soak up the greatness in which we accomplished. I really appreciated that scene. It was a little like, thank you to everyone. They didn't even have to say a single word. They all stood there, they watched the water, and they all walked away one by one. I thought that was like a beautiful, beautiful send-off. A beautiful send-off.
I always guessed that was from the original. Have any of you guys seen it? Because I haven't.
I have seen it once a long time ago, and I cannot remember any details.
That feels like an ending from an older movie, but
yeah.
Show me a man without a dream, and I'll show you a man that's dead.
Another thing I appreciate about it is that the scene where Brad Pitt comes and picks him up at the end, it also shows they're being smart about this money.
Yes.
He's, he's not driving around in a Benz. He's in a believable car because they're still being followed. They're going to be tailed probably for a long time. So I just love that
100%.
little addition of had the series ended here with no 12 or 13.
Yeah. Cut to Ocean's 12 and they owe money.
Yeah.
Which is insane to think about. You guys, we literally went through the entire movie without mentioning Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
Can we talk about Julia Roberts for a hot minute?
Let's bring up the LVP.
Yes.
Yep.
And then I have a two-part loser. And we'll bring up Julia Roberts first. Because we got to talk about this. Because other than being the wife of the great Danny Ocean, I have no idea. I kind of want her to be complicit because if you're married to Danny Ocean, you kind of have to be.
Yeah.
And they kind of do a good job about that in the later movies, right? She's kind of like in the heists.
Yeah.
But in this movie, I mean, what are we doing?
Especially the least believable part of this movie. Of course, this comes down to personal opinion. There are a lot of people in this world.
I know what you're going to say.
There are a lot of people in this world who think that she is a very beautiful woman. I don't mean to say that they're wrong. I do mean to say that I'm right about I don't think she's attractive. And the scene where Matt Damon says, "This is the best part of my day," and then she comes down the stairs and it shows her. I always, even as a kid, remember watching that and going, really?
That's not what I thought you were going to say.
Look around the casino, dog. There are more attractive extras. What are you?
That's a $2 OnlyFans is what we're looking at.
Yo, you're insane. You're insane. You're insane. What did you think he was going to say?
I thought he was going to say, like, how is she with Andy Garcia? Like, she is way too smart to be with a dude that's clearly, like, up to no good. Like, he's rich, but, like, she's been through that before. Her last husband was clearly robbing people to get rich and was clearly doing that illegal shit. And then she was like, I hate that dude.
So
now
Tess just has bad taste in men.
Yeah,
maybe.
terrible taste.
Great.
You guys listen, I'm over here. I too did not mention Julia Roberts' Tess in this throughout this movie. I'm not over here rooting and saying rah rah, but the come up is something else. You go from a thief that is in prison for however many years to the owner of a casino in Las Vegas.
He doesn't
How
even
did they
touch
meet,
her.
dude?
He doesn't even touch her in public. What are we talking about?
No,
here?
he doesn't touch her in his hotel.
Newsflash. They literally spend all their time in the goddamn hotel. I mean that is insane.
Wasn't that a weird thing?
Yeah.
They go on dates together, but they can't kiss on camera because of what? Why?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, well, yeah, but like, that's okay. It's okay to kiss the person you're publicly dating, I think.
Exactly. That was a really
in front of a security guard watching through a camera. Like,
and then I think the most important point that we have to talk about, if someone offered Julia Roberts $160 million instead of the husband, I would say she would take it every single time. Like, I know couples, there's people who've been married for 50 years who would be like, yeah, fuck you, I'm out. It's $160 million.
I would leave behind every person I have ever met for $100
That's what I'm saying.
I honestly, like $100,000. I'd be like, I'll never talk to my family again.
Mm-hmm.
So
so that whole thing where she was all upset because he said yes to $160 million. How much does she think she's worth? Like, how much does she actually think she's worth? That's an insane level of expectation for somebody. This is his job, it's his life, and you're mad at him because he said, give me the money.
When they get home together, what do? Because I just think they sit at a dinner table, they just pick at their food, and they just stay there for 4 hours, and then they go to bed in 2 separate beds in 2 separate rooms.
No doubt.
And, there's no charisma,
chemistry,
anything. And then when George Clooney was like, does he make you laugh? And she goes, he doesn't make me cry. I'm like, yo, Hallmark should put that on a fucking card because that shit is insane.
It is insane. It is insane. It is.
And all right, let's get to Andy Garcia because we got some issues with this. At least I do. You can't have heavy hitters like this and then come out with Andy Garcia as the back. Like, there's a Denzel movie called Magnificent Seven. It's a remake of a remake of a remake. but it's like they got Denzel, they got a bunch of Chris D'Onofrio, Chris Pratt. They like, I mean, like the movie posters like Oceans, you know, they're trying to get. And then the bad guy, it's like they like used all the budget and the good guy, and then it's
Just
like
some face.
that's not the way to do these movies.
The bad guy needs to be the most important.
Right. Die Hard paved the way. You get Severus Snape to be the bad guy, right? You get a heavy hitter to be the bad guy. And all I could think about doing this, I literally wrote this down, is if Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 13 switched bad guys and we got a 2001 Al Pacino as the bad guy for this movie.
That's what I was going to say. It feels in this movie, it feels like they wanted Al Pacino and they couldn't afford him. So they got someone cheaper then the budget was raised. And so, but yeah, I truly, it's like, oh, we can't do Pacino. Is Garcia busy?
Yeah, because just give me anyone, give me a big heavy hitter that like can actually go toe to toe and like is menacing and charming at the same time. But
that's very tough.
Tough ass, but honestly, I have to know why she left him for him.
Yeah.
Because it's not Andy Garcia. It's
true.
Exactly. Just a little bit of pushback because I know there's very few directors that are like, I'm writing this. Like when Quentin Tarantino's doing a movie, he's like, this is Samuel L. Jackson's part. This is Leonardo DiCaprio's part. This is what I'm writing it for. Yeah. When you are just writing a regular screenplay and you have a bad guy, right? I'm questioning if it was the exact same lines throughout this exact movie. Who do you want? You really think Al Pacino in that scene in this movie doing and saying the exact same things that Andy Garcia was doing would have been a better result? Because I feel like it's a writing issue. I feel like it's a story issue more than an actual actor issue in this situation.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, you know
potentially what? Even a directing issue of not retaking the scenes with more chemistry between him and Tess, for example. I could see Al Pacino. What I couldn't see is Al Pacino and Julia Roberts together making sense. Yeah. I can see him in every other element of that role, but him and Julia Roberts would feel weird.
I'm going down a list of actors. I'm trying to find.
See, and that's what I'm telling you. I think it's a writing issue.
It's a tough ask. It's a tough ask.
Exactly. If you just plug in a different actor with this exact same writing, with the same story, then I think it is a tough ask. But if you change the actor and then you do what that actor is best at, then there's a million people I could pick from. Like a million people. Terry Benedict just wasn't written that well. Who was your MVP? Let's go around MVPs now.
I did dual LVPs, dual MVPs, Clooney and Pitt. They come out of this movie. See, the thing with Matt Damon's bullshit character actor, I'm hanging out thing, is he doesn't actually come out looking great in this movie.
Yeah.
Where, I mean, it's a great character or whatever, but Pitt and Clooney especially, pretty much rides this movie. Like, if you look at his IMDb, it's not that impressive for how big of a star he is.
Yeah, you better whisper that shit.
I'm gonna whisper this.
Yeah, exactly. George fucking Clooney. He is Hollywood.
No, I'm not joking. I mean, Tequila saved his life. Because let me talk to you about this. Because he's in one of my favorite movies of all time, Michael Clayton. Besides that movie, you have to, like, he's in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou. Yeah. Not a lot of hits though. Like Syriana wasn't a hit. Ides of March wasn't a hit. He's in this. He's in Gravity, Tomorrowland, flopped, lost. I mean, like, if you really look at it, Oceans really like saved his skin at the right time. And because of Oceans and how cool he was, number one in Oceans, I feel like that kind of just gave him, you know, he's like always in the suit in Oceans. Then when you see him on TV, he's always in the suit. You see him on the red carpet, he's always in the suit. I think it just ingrains in America. This dude is just a cool dude. You know? He's like,
So yes, I want to agree with you, but at the same time, Mumbury, it's more than just being in the suit. There's a lot of actors that are in a suit. George Clooney is suave. George Clooney is smooth as all hell. That scene where, like, you talk about chemistry, right? Him and Tess have very few scenes. The scene where he's saying goodbye and sneaking the phone in her pocket and he's just staring at her, and then he gets close and he's just like, I'm here to say goodbye. You're like, oh shit. And then he leans in, he pauses for a hot second because she thinks she's gonna get a kiss, and then he gives her one on the cheek. You can't do Mumbury. There's very few actors like you. Credit where credit is due, and then for his film history, he is Mr. Fox and Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
Have you seen Fantastic Mr. Fox?
No, but all right, you can't.
Oh,
throw a
you
Wes
haven't seen
I
Fantastic
haven't seen it.
Mr.
I haven't
Fox?
seen it. You can't throw a Wes Anderson
Okay,
movie
this
at
is a
me
Fantastic Mr.
as
Fox episode now. This is
Nah,
so important.
You can't do that. You
To
can't
me,
do that.
it's
No,
so
no, no, no.
important that after this, soon
Okay.
you go and see that movie because
Okay.
it is so good.
I have been told it's amazing, but you can't
Yes.
throw a Wes Anderson film at me and be like, "Oh, he's still in the game." Wes Anderson will have fucking Luke Wilson doing scenes. I mean, you can't be doing that. But I'll just listen to make my point home. Let me just go through his filmography.
Please.
So 2022, Ticket to Paradise. 2016, Money Monster. I actually saw that one in theaters. I don't know why. But then
I've never
Hail
seen
Caesar, then
Hail Caesar,
Tomorrowland,
yeah.
then The Monuments Men, Gravity, Fantastic Mr. Fox, The Men Who Stare at Goats,
Not
Up
bad.
in the Air. Now,
No.
okay, Up in the Air and Gravity are two actual hits.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Those
where'd
are
all
all-
that fame come from?
That's
Exactly.
my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. I'm not going crazy here. I'm just saying
Yeah.
You're
George
not.
Clooney he's I don't know how he got
I
that
know
face.
exactly what you're saying because like when you think George Clooney, you think Hollywood, you think the man, right? But you really should be thinking of like a Tom Hanks because he has
Yeah.
performed. You should be thinking of like
Right.
a Will Smith. Like these people, like when you think Hollywood, they actually has produced the art.
George
Not
Clooney has an
going-
IMDb of like, when comedians turn into actors or like
Yes.
musicians turn into actors.
Yeah.
And then you're like, how is he still in movies? But it's like, oh, right, because he keeps dropping albums. Or because he keeps
Yeah.
doing stadium tours and he's still staying famous.
But
If
the
Kevin Hart
difference is the major difference is when George Clooney does hit, he hits well because he is a fucking actor. Maybe his film choices, maybe the PR team for George Clooney is the greatest PR team in the history, but he can act. Like he can legitimately act, Mumber. You got to give him that.
What we need is Idris Elba to fire his team, hire George Clooney's team.
Yes.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
Because that's exactly what this world needs.
Like, Idris Elba needs to be the number one star in Hollywood. Everything he does is perfect.
And I just binged Hijack. That show is fantastic. He's just
is it good?
Albert. Yeah,
it's good.
It's fantastic.
And then-
he really is.
Let me just compare that to Brad Pitt because it's like night and day. Like Brad Pitt's taking it easy a bit, but Babylon, Bullet Train, The Lost City, Ad Astra, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and then he did Allied, War Machine, The Big Short, Fury, The Counselor, 12 Years a Slave, World War Z.
That's not fair.
Killing Them Softly.
See, this is a
Moneyball,
movie star.
Winners.
This is a
Just
movie star.
winner after
The
winner.
Tree of Life, Megamind, Inglorious Bastards, The Curious
Yep.
Case of Benjamin Button, Better After Reading, The
Are
Assassination
these
of Jesse
consecutive?
James
Are you
by
cutting the
coward
fat out
Robert
from in
Ford.
between these? This is
No,
crazy.
no fat, dude. I mean, Ocean's 13, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Ocean's 12, Troy.
I'm on his IMDb and I'm looking at all of his produced movies as well. Like, Brad Pitt is Hollywood. This he knows.
Right. And
Brad
then-
Pitt is Hollywood.
And we're not even including 90s because 90s he had Fight Club, Being John Malkovich, Meet Joe Black. That's a movie
Crazy.
star.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
that's why he was more famous than George Clooney when this movie came out.
Makes sense. Now I hear your point from the beginning. Now I definitely understand your point from the beginning. Brad Pitt is the movie star. George Clooney just looks like one.
He has that movie star charm.
Oh, 100%.
And he feels like if any movie star now you could take back to the 50s and 60s and do those kind of movies where it's like him showing up in a seaside town in Europe and then there's someone chasing him and he meets a hot woman and they got and the pants are like up to here and he's running away from the cops. Like
that is George.
He would kill it. I mean,
Yep.
he would be
He's a modern Humphrey Bogart. He could have done Casablanca
right.
no problem.
Casablanca, no problem.
100%. Any final thoughts about Ocean's 11, boys?
I will say I feel like I spent a lot of time shitting on our guy George Clooney in the last 15 minutes. But let me just say this because I love him in this. We've seen from the Ocean's 8 sequel, prequel, whatever that is, that this movie lives and dies on his charisma. And when you see Ocean's 8 and how they kind of tried to recreate the scene with the female version of Rusty and him, and the charisma wasn't there. Is that me or you?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I'm on a Mac, so it's not me.
Yeah, I think it is you, Mumbury. Is it your headphones? I think everything is working well. Like I can see you. It's just I don't know where that
Yeah.
beeping is coming from.
Something's plugging in and out.
So what he was saying that the Ocean's 8 is an example of why George.
I don't know what's going on. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
There's no issue. It's just the in and out plugging that I keep hearing because I too am on a Mac, so that's not. So the charm of George Clooney carrying the movie, my question is, would the movie be carried? Because Brad Pitt is also doing a whole lot of the carrying in this movie.
Yeah. Well, I think an example of that for me is exactly that scene between him and Tess where he's saying goodbye. George Clooney is. There is a lot of chemistry in that scene, and I would argue that 100% of it is coming from George Clooney. He carries that scene totally on his shoulders. She basically just kind of stands and reacts instead of acting. That kind of exemplifies the charm that he puts into every scene. Because Brad Pitt, while excellent in this movie, he wouldn't have been a Danny Ocean. He's great for his character, you know? And so I think in terms of a Danny Ocean type, I really struggle to think of anyone else in Hollywood, either now or in the, contemporary era of 2001 that could have oceaned as hard as George Clooney oceaned.
Denzel could have done it. Denzel could have done it.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's true.
Denzel could have done it. It would change the entire movie. But
yeah, it would have been a different Danny Ocean. Yeah. He could have pulled that. That's true.
The thing about Denzel is a little rougher on the edge. I don't see Denzel being as charming. He has a charisma.
There's a charming Denzel. You just got to look out for.
Okay, remind me of the charming Denzel. What, a Training Day?
Training Day. You in the office, baby.
Like there is no love. Like that's the thing. I feel like I imagine women going crazy for George Clooney. I'm not saying that women don't go crazy for Denzel, but it's a different level. Like it's a different level.
Kind of woman.
Yeah, exactly. And the charm, the charm that George Clooney has. It's like emits out of him. It emits out of him. Like I respect Denzel, but like George Clooney is the guy, right? Like he's just the guy. You look at him and you like the guy. Even with the little gray tips and whatever in his hair, like
Focus. Will Smith also got it. Will Smith in Focus with him and Margot Robbie.
Okay.
And you tell me Leo couldn't do it either? There's dudes that could do this.
Okay, yeah, Leo probably could have done it.
Yeah, I think Leo probably could have done it. And the thing is, 2001, Will Smith could not. He's
not 2001, not 2001.
Then current,
but between Hitch and Focus,
in that era, I can see it.
Yeah,
I can see it.
There's some charm.
I have a pitch. This is left field, and shoot it down if you think. But Christian Bale, what are your thoughts?
Okay, after Batman, maybe.
Yeah, like amid the Batman trilogy era.
Okay, I don't know. He seems really cold. Not gonna lie.
Exactly. He's just too tough. He's too.
And maybe
tough.
the American Psycho part is just sour.
Yeah, I think American Psycho is what's throwing me off too. He would be too much of a Patrick Bateman in a role like Danny Ocean.
You know what?
Too much of a wild card.
Give me Nick Cage as the bad guy, as
okay,
as the casino owner.
100% on board. I love Nick Cage.
Give me Tess has had it with straight laced Danny Ocean, and she's now cutting loose, and she's hanging out with the coke fiend that owns. He's hanging out with the coke fiend that. You know who would be perfect? Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell
as
oh shit,
yeah, that's a good cast.
And Colin Farrell is Andy Garcia.
Niall, just thank you so much,
Niall, for hopping on, man.
Really
no problem.
It.
It's great.
It's
a tradition on my podcast. I hope it's okay if I bring this in, but I got to give a shout out to my mom. So shout out to Kel. She's probably going to listen to this, and she'll kill me if I don't do it. So
shout out to Kel.
Shout out to Cal. That was beautiful. I love that. Mama, you hear that? She keeps shouting out mom. I love that. Ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, subscribe, and we'll catch you next week. Deuces.